Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Phases of Growth podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Rose, and today we are just going to have a little bit of a chat. I have an idea of some things I want to talk about that's been on my mind, but we'll kind of see what comes through. So, first, I'm going to ask you to just think about how are you doing? Are you feeling good and positive and optimistic? Or are you with a lot of other people in this country, in this world, where the news of the day is dragging you down? And if you are in the first camp where you're hopeful, positive, optimistic, awesome. This might not be the episode for you. So, my intention is to talk with everybody about what we can do when the world around us feels very crazy, chaotic, scary, how we can stay centered and how we can do what is right for our own mental health while staying present with what's happening around us. So, this is something I have been, I'm not sure the right word to use because what wanted to come out first was battling with, but that doesn't really feel aligned for me. But it's something that I've been trying to figure out for myself since Inauguration Day on January 20th. And when we were immediately hit with this just flooding of executive orders, and each one just seemed worse than the last one. So, I am, as I've talked about on this podcast, and if you know me, I'm very spiritual. I believe in higher consciousness. I believe that things happen for a reason and that life doesn't happen to us, life happens for us, for our growth and for our evolution. So there's that part of me that truly believes that. Okay. And then there's other parts of me that are not as highly evolved, perhaps, that are fearful of what I'm seeing because it feels like history is repeating itself. And we know what happened in the 1930s in Germany. And there's another part of me that is the social worker. So I got into social work because I have this calling to be of service and to help. And so there's nothing more harmful to me personally than seeing other people be discriminated against, have their rights taken away, that people who have more are taking from the people who have less. Um, Disenfranchising people from being able to vote or use their voice. All of those things just go against the core of my being. And so there's that part of me that's the social worker that's like, feels very responsible. I did not break this. Okay. I did not break the system, but I feel responsible for doing something about it because I can't just sit by and watch atrocities happen and just live in my little like bubble of love. So that's what that social work part of me is saying. But then there's the other part of me, the more spiritual part of me that's like, but sitting in that bubble of love is a way of helping, right? So I'm trying to figure out what is this path that I walk on in this moment that we are in this country that honors my spirituality, my beliefs, what I know to be true, and also feeds the social worker part of me that feels like I need to do something. Okay. So, this is not an easy thing to figure out. It has not been an easy thing for me to wrap my mind around. It has been a lot of back and forth. It has been a lot of tuning in. It has been a lot of connecting with spirit and asking, what next? What do I do next? And so that's why I'm making this episode because this is one of my what's next. It's sharing where I've landed, which next week could be completely different. what I'm trying to do to protect my peace and stay centered and stay grounded while also acting and doing things in an aligned fashion. So, the first thing that I have figured out for myself is that I need to not be watching the news to stay informed. I need to be reading the news to stay informed. And the reason for that is I get less activated by reading a AP or Reuters article than I do if I'm listening to Brian Tyler Cohen or Rachel Maddow or somebody else who's commenting on the news, who's sharing information, but also talking about their opinions and how they are putting things into perspective. And those voices are valuable. So I'm not trying to dismiss that. If you're somebody who does watch the news and you find value in that, that's okay. I'm just sharing with you what works for me. And what works for me is I need to have a calmer approach to it where I'm not getting as activated or reactive, and that I can just take information, sit with it, not create too many stories of projecting ahead of time of where we're headed and what could happen. So I take this approach of not telling too many stories about where we're going and what could happen from Jessica Yellen. I've been listening to her episodes on the Glennon Doyle podcast, We Can Do Hard Things. I believe she used to work for CNN, but she's very much a advocate for calm news. And so she, like, when she comes on the podcast to talk about what's happening in the world, she, guides people through like a breathing exercise. So you're like starting from a regulated place. And then we're just discussing the facts. We're not making interpretations of those facts, and we're not going too far ahead of like, this is what could happen. So it's like, yes, Doge has access to sensitive information, but does anybody know what they are doing or planning on doing with that information? No, we do not. So it's very easy to fall into the fear-based mindset of like catastrophizing worst case scenarios of what could happen. And I'm not saying that those aren't possibilities. I'm not. I'm just saying we need to stay in this moment, grounded in what's happening right now, and not project too far into the future because the future can change. Lawsuits are being, filed every single day to try to slow these things down or to prevent these things from happening. So stay grounded. For me, it is reading, it is not watching. And along with that, I have found that I really need to take breaks from any kind of news or social media input. I have cut down on my doom scrolling by a lot. So I'm kind of like posting in my Facebook group every now and again, looking at people's comments in the Facebook group that I run, The Healing Garden. If you're interested in that, it will be linked below. But I'm not spending a ton of time scrolling other people's content right now because again, it's just activating and I'm seeing the same things over and over again. It's not really educating me any further. I kind of have an awareness of what's going on. I don't need the chaos to be ever present in my mind or my energy system. So instead, I'm trying to just go for content that lights me up. So if I want to kind of scroll something, I'm going to Pinterest instead because my algorithm on Pinterest has nothing to do with the news or politics or anything along those lines. It is very much witchy stuff, spiritual stuff, home aesthetics, gardening, recipes, that type of thing. So it's like that feels like a safer space for me to be in. Also, YouTube, where I can search specific content. And again, I'm trying to search things that light me up and literally, like watching videos about like cultivating joy in dark times or difficult times, how to romanticize your life, right? Because it's like that's the energy that's going to help keep me grounded, where it's not the whole world is a mess and dark. Yes, that is part of the reality, but it's not the whole reality. And I'm focusing on how do I protect myself, protect my peace? How do I enjoy what I can out of life? And this has been a little bit of a struggle for me because there is that part of me that says you shouldn't be enjoying anything right now because it's so bad. And I just really don't buy into that. You know, a lot of people are posting things about how joy is the resistance. And I get the sentiment and I get what that is trying to communicate, but joy and resistance, those two words don't go well together in my mind because resistance is you're pushing something away. And I get it, you're pushing away the you know, the fascism, I guess, that is happening in our country and all of the darkness that's happening in the world. So I do get what the saying is trying to communicate. But to me, joy is my freedom. It is my ability to remain authentic. It is cultivating an appreciation for what I have and these moments that I can enjoy. And joy is not necessarily about these big moments, right? Like, yes, sure, like getting married is a big moment full of joy, or it should be. Going on a vacation is a big moment full of joy, again, or it should be. But I can find joy, and so can you, in just everyday little things. Like whenever I see a dog, I get filled with so much joy and just like my heart expands, right? At a cute puppy, especially golden retrievers, because I swear to God, I am meant to own a golden retriever. That's like my next dog. Or I find joy in silly things like pretty pens and stickers and washi tape and notebooks and pretty cups and flowers and the sky being beautiful, right? A beautiful sunset or sunrise, or even just amazing cloud formations, right? Joy, we can cultivate joy, but we have to be willing to look for it. And so that's what I'm trying to do in my downtime and my moments where it's just my time. I'm choosing to look for the things that are going to bring me more joy. And it's not always easy, believe me. Like there's moments where that is really a difficult thing to do. But when I'm taking a break from paying attention too closely, I am cultivating joy in my life. So, as I said, I have the very responsible social worker part of me that's like, okay, joy's great, but what are you going to do about this madness? So, I'm taking aligned action where I can. And that means I write my congressional representative pretty much once or twice a week. He's getting an email from me or a phone call to his office where I am highlighting the things that I'm concerned about and letting him know my thoughts about it, the research that I've done, my personal stories and experience, and also asking him to come back to his district to do a town hall meeting. So I'm doing that. I'm also thinking about where do I spend my money? And I'm a girl on a budget, so I'm doing the best I can. Have I completely given up Walmart? No, I have not. Am I looking for alternatives to Walmart? Yes, I am. But I would say reduce significantly Walmart purchases um over the last month or so. Definitely not going to Target anytime soon. So I'm just trying to support businesses that are aligned with my values more so. And that's a power that we all have, is choosing where do we spend our money, where do we spend our time. And the other way that I'm taking action is looking for, protests that I can go to, or speaking out on social media for things that are just, you know, I can't stomach, and I can't stay silent about that. So it's not about everything, because there's a lot of people who are speaking out on social media, and I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm trying to spend a lot less time on social media to protect my mental health. So it's just every once in a while when it's like, I can't stay silent about this one. I need to say something or offer my perspective. So those are the ways that I'm trying to take aligned action. And I'm also just seeking information about other ways that I can help and support and, be a good citizen, basically, but also a citizen who is grounded and centered and not spiraling into a deep, dark depression. I'm also leaning very heavily into my spirituality. So every single day, I'm connecting with spirit, I'm doing energy work, I'm clearing, I'm transmuting energy, I'm sending love, light, and healing to the collective every single day. And I'm leading guided energy activations and meditations. Um, I'm trying to do it at least twice a month with live over Zoom. So if you're interested in that, follow me on social media. That's where I will post about it. And so one meditation a month is healing for the collective. And that's always uploaded to YouTube. So even if you can't join live, you can do the meditation afterward. And I also encourage people to do it more than once. I just did one this morning that I had recorded earlier this month with a group of people, the light body activation, collective healing. And I just have this belief that if we are all working on our own energy and the vibration that we are emitting out into the world, then that has a ripple effect, because we are all one, we are all connected. And so if I'm working on myself, that does have an impact on the greater whole. And also just the intention and the taking the time to send love, light, healing, and consciousness to the collective, I believe is a power that we have that we might often overlook. So that might not align with your spiritual beliefs or your beliefs about how the world works, and that's okay. But those are my beliefs, that I can have an impact by doing my healing work and doing energy work and sharing that with others. So that's something that I've started doing since January and feel very called to doing. It's something that gives me great joy as well. I feel amazing after I lead an energy activation, and I feel like it's powerful. I'm also in the moments when the reality is getting really tough to deal with, and there's things that I'm starting to kind of slip into fear about, like my ability to vote, because my name on my birth certificate does not match the name on my ID, because I got married and changed my name. Like millions and millions of other people in this country. So when I slip into fear about that, I'm trying to come back to just the basics of mindful awareness and creating safety in my body and my environment. So just like focusing on my breath, just finding comfort in whatever I can in my environment. So wearing very cozy, comfy clothes, cozy, comfy blankets, having soft, cozy lighting, and reminding myself in those moments that I'm in fear that I am safe right now in this moment as I speak to you, or in this moment, if I were in that fear state, the thing that I'm worried about is not actually happening. Nobody's harming me. Nobody has officially taken away my right to vote. Um, so it's a reminder of the here and now because that's all we have, right? I'm trying not to project too far into the future because again, it is not set in stone. It could change, and I want to focus on the change I want to see rather than focus on what awful thing could happen. So really coming back to my breath, reminding myself I am safe, I am protected, I am secure. And then when I can get out of that fear state, transmuting that energy, aligning back in with my authentic self, and calling in love and light. Expressing gratitude is so important, and you've heard millions of people talk about this and the importance of it. But especially in the time that we're in now, having a practice of radical gratitude, I think, is just really, really important. And it's appreciating, it's kind of like what I was saying about joy, but it's just taking a moment and appreciating everything, even the smallest things. Like, I'm wearing a warm sweater today, and I am so appreciative of the sweater and how it feels on my body, and that it's keeping me warm, that I'm not cold, right? Like, I'm so appreciative of yesterday I had to go to the DMV, and it was a much better experience than I've had before at the DMV. So, like, I'm appreciative of that, that it only took an hour and a half when I thought I was going to be there all day. Um, I'm appreciative of I have clean drinking water. I have the ability to take a shower. I have a vehicle that I can drive. It's not 20 degrees outside where I live right now. It's like in the 50s today, right? So I'm appreciative of the nice weather. So I think that helps me stay centered because, again, if I'm just focusing on the darkness and the bad things, that just infiltrates my mind, my energy, my hope gets washed away, right? But if I can just take some time and really, really express gratitude for every little thing that I have, my perspective changes, my vibration changes, right? And it makes the world feel not as hopeless. So gratitude is very important, even not in even if we are not in dark times. I very much encourage everybody to just start a radical gratitude practice. It's something that you can say to yourself. It's something that you can write about. I like to keep track of gratitude in my planner because my planner has like daily pages and like there's a couple of different sections. And so in one of those blank sections, I write down the things that I'm grateful for. And it's nice because then I can kind of flip back through and look at the day and be like, oh, like this is what I was appreciating, or this nice thing happened to me on this day. So, the last thing I wanted to say about this topic is I believe we are in a major collective tower moment. And I made an episode about tower moments. It was one of the first episodes that I made on this podcast. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about with tower moment or want to learn more about tower moments, feel free to go back and listen to that episode. But I believe that we are in a collective tower moment and that the institutions in this country have not been working for a long time, right? So whether you voted Republican, Democratic, Independent, however you identify on the political spectrum, I think most people can say the system has not been working. Okay. Now, I think we all have differences of opinions on how to get the system to work, what needs to change. And most of the people that I know, maybe not. I mean, the people that I see talking about this stuff on social media are just very concerned about the just destruction that is happening in our government. As am I, obviously, because I'm talking about this. So, do I feel like taking a wrecking ball to all of the institutions is probably the best way to go about change? No. But is it going to force change to happen? Yes. And so with tower moments, it's like the tower, the structure has to come completely down so that it can be cleared and a new foundation can be built and new structures, new systems can be built. So my hope and my where I am focusing my energy and my beliefs, because I believe in the power of energy and thoughts and beliefs. My beliefs are that we are crumbling so that we can rebuild a better, more beautiful society. And I just have to continue to live in that reality. I have to continue to advocate for that reality in an aligned way. I have to continue to pour my love and my energy into the collective to help other people. Not that they have to do things, not that I'm saying my reality is the best, because do I know all of the fixes for the problems that we've had in this government? Absolutely not. But my hope is that people who do have power and who can help make these changes come about become aligned with their most authentic selves, that they can hear the call of spirit and exist in this frequency of love and compassion for everybody and empathy for everyone. And so that we do create a more fair, just, equitable, beautiful, loving, compassionate society. But unfortunately, things had to crumble for that to happen. And it's like, if you look at it, so for me, during the Biden administration, I tuned out of the news and politics for a long time because I was like, you know what? The adults are in charge. I don't have to worry as much. I'm going to kind of just like focus on me, my healing, my growth, my businesses, whatnot. But with what's happened since Trump has been inaugurated, people are not tuned out anymore, myself included, right? And collective action is happening. So it's like we kind of needed this tower moment to happen to get people to rise up and to say, this is not acceptable and we deserve better. And people are fighting and advocating and doing their part to try to help make this world a better place. And so, however you choose to meet this moment is perfectly okay. There's no judgment. If you're like, you know what? I just can't, my mental health can't handle it. I understand that. And I'm not judging you for that whatsoever. What I would encourage you to do is if anything resonated with you in what I have said, to just focus on finding joy and peace and love in your own life, your own mind, body, soul. Because again, we are all interconnected. So the healthier you are sending that energy out to the collective and you are impacting people you don't even know, but you're also impacting the people you do know, right? Because it's like that energy when somebody is like lit up or they're feeling really good and positive and hopeful, that energy is intoxicating and it makes you want to rise to that level. So if you can't do anything else, if you can't pay attention, that's okay. But I would encourage you to just be the light if you can. So I hope this episode was helpful, and at some point I may have different thoughts about everything. So I'm just reserving the right to change my mind and to expand upon what I'm thinking and feeling and doing and what I'm tuning into and how I'm meeting this moment. But for right now, this is it. And It is not always easy. I do fall into fear, but I'm able to catch it and to support it and to figure out how do I get back into alignment with love, because love is our natural state of being. It is the most powerful frequency, and it is the answer to all questions. Okay, everyone, thank you for listening, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.